everyone. This is Maheen, and welcome to the She and Success podcast, powered by She and Success Business Magazine, a platform that is dedicated to spotlighting the voices, strategies, and journeys of women leaders and entrepreneurs who are really shaping Canada's business and policy landscape. Today, we're exploring the intersection of education and innovation. In 2026, as technology moves faster than ever, the way we teach and assess complex skills like coding is undergoing a massive transformation, moving away from just checking if code runs to really understanding the logic behind it. Joining us is Christianna Chow, the CEO and co-founder of Octopodi Technologies, as well as a professor and mentor coach at Conestoga College, an Entrepreneur of Impact Award nominee and a top finisher in the Pitch Pal Life Challenge. Christiana is on a mission to give instructors their time back while ensuring students get the meaningful feedback they need to grow. So without further ado, let's dive in and welcome Christiana. Christiana, it's a pleasure having you on the show today. Welcome to the podcast. How are you?
Thank you so much. It's a pleasure being here, Maheen. I'm doing very well. Thank you. How are you?
Very well. Thank you so much for taking the time out to join us. And Christiana, we'd love to. I know that intro was a very impressive. It was a mouthful, but it was quite impressive, and we can't wait to break it down for our listeners and have them be inspired by this conversation. So let's begin our conversation by understanding the leap from corporate to founder. You've navigated a career that spans the corporate world, academic, and now a high growth ed tech startup. Tell us what led you to leave corporate and start an early stage startup.
Sure. So I actually grew up in a family business, and I thought to myself, I never want to own my own business. So when I graduated from university, I did, the corporate ladder thing. I'm going to climb the ladder, and I'm going to love it. And throughout my time in corporate, there was definitely ups and downs, as there always is. But I just realized that my personality didn't really fit into the traditional mold. I really love to problem solve. And when I say that, I mean, I like to dig really deep into the problem. And I'm also a very creative person, which typically meant that I wanted to take bigger risks than corporations typically want to take with the work that they do.
Right.
And so I had also started teaching at Conestoga College at the time. And that's kind of when I realized, maybe corporate isn't the only path. I think for anybody who wants to do any sort of career change, it's really scary. But that really started to show me that, maybe it's time for a change. So I had been eyeing a master's program at the University of Waterloo. It's a master's of business entrepreneurship and technology. I had been looking at it for 3 years, actually, and I just had a day where I was like, you know what? I think this is the day I'm going to go for it. So I applied, I got in, I learned everything I needed to know about the foundations of starting a business and then actually growing and scaling it. And that's what I've been doing ever since.
Wow. That is quite inspiring. We love the inspiration and the motivation behind your journey. And taking that leap based on a real world problem you witnessed firsthand is often the strongest foundation for a startup's success. Um, Now let's kind of explore the unseen challenges that instructors face behind the classroom. Christiana, what challenges do instructors face today, and how does Octopodi solve them?
Sure. So I'd say the biggest challenge is time, like, period, just time. There's not enough time. And especially now, when we look at coding education, there's class sizes of 50, 100, or sometimes even more students. And when we're looking at coding assignments specifically, there's hundreds of lines of code in a single assignment. So when it comes to grading, right now what's happening is there's not enough time to go through the level of detail needed to provide like really good value driven feedback. And professors are really stuck between a rock and a hard place because it's not that they don't want to give really good feedback, but they've got, the pressure on the student side, they've got the pressure on the administrative side, and they've got to find somewhere in the middle to manage that. So with that tension, what tends to happen is the grading sometimes turns towards a black and white approach where we're just looking, does the code pass, does it fail? And that's what equates to a passing grade or a failing grade. So
Right.
with Octopodi, what we're trying to do is bridge that gap. We're not just looking at whether code runs, we're actually analyzing patterns in how students are approaching a problem. So instead of reviewing 100 submissions one by one from scratch, we do all of that analysis on our end. We actually cut down analysis time by 90%. So on
Mhm.
average, it can take up to 3 hours for a single assignment. We review an entire class within minutes. Um, and then we give the professors that ready base that they need to really see trends and common misunderstandings and different solution approaches to what the class is doing. And then from there, we actually map it all back against the course learning outcomes. So what's most important out of this, I'd say, is we're not trying to replace instructors. They're the value add in education, right? They come with mentorship and experience. So we're
Mhm.
trying to support them.
Well, thank you so much for taking us through the hidden challenges of instruction, really. And you're right, automating the repetitive grading task, it really allows educators to reclaim their time for high impact mentorship and actual teaching. Next up, Christiana, let's explore how meaningful feedback improves student learning outcomes. Tell us, what is good feedback to, what does the good feedback look like? And how does your AI assess logic over syntax?
Sure. So for us, for me, and for my co-founders who also have taught, good feedback goes beyond just telling the students whether they passed or failed, whether it's right or wrong. It's actually answering three things, and these are kind of the core foundation of Octopodi. So what we're looking at is what worked, what didn't work, and why. The why is the really important part. So the best instructors that I've worked with and that I've seen, they don't just look at if something is correct or not. They actually help the students understand their thinking. So they may point out things like structure or efficiency, or they might even break it down to how a student approached the assignment. Especially with coding education, code can be written in many different ways and still work. But there's a gap between the knowledge that you learn on how to write code in school versus when you actually take that into a corporate position, because now you're not just coding for yourself, you're adding code into an entire code base that already exists, and your code needs to work within that.
Right.
So that's really kind of why we say the why is really important, because it's not just about, yes, the code works. It's, are we actually doing this in the most optimal way or the correct way or the way that works with the situation that we are going to be in?
Mhm. Well, that shifting the focus from the syntax to logic, it really ensures that students aren't just learning to code, but learning to solve problems. And to all the educators and the founders that are watching us in 2026, AI is not here to replace the professor. It's really here to support the mentor. So if you're spending 90% of your time just checking boxes, you aren't really just teaching your machine. So, if you want to stop grading and start teaching again, now is the time to really embrace these tools that are available out there that let you be human. Um, Next up, Christiana, let's look at how the challenges and the wins that shape the founder's journey. What moment made your startup feel real, and what keeps you motivated?
Okay, there is two moments that come to mind. The first one was this time last year. We had decided, so a little background, myself and my co-founders, this is our third venture that we're working on together. This is probably our most passion-filled one because it came from personal experience. So we decided early on with Octopodi that we wanted to get out there and go to conferences and exhibit as part of our discovery strategy. And so this time last year, we attended our first few conferences. And that was the first time I felt like, okay, we're a real company. We've got a banner, we've got a table, we're talking to people. Things are going, like, we're really growing here. The second moment where it really started to feel real was actually over the last month, because we're preparing to go into our pilot testing. And the MVP that we've built has come from countless interviews, countless discussions, and alpha testing with actual instructors. And all
Mhm.
that feedback they gave us, that's what we've been using to create our full MVP. And our team did a walkthrough just a couple of weeks ago of the final finished product. And I was shocked because I'm like, this looks like something that, if I was on the other end of things, I would be looking at this to buy it. Like it
Right.
actually looks real, it looks legit. And so that definitely also made things feel very real. I think the piece that keeps me motivated is number one, it keeps me motivated because we're solving a real problem. Like, I'm an educator on the other side of being a founder, and I truly believe that education needs mentorship. And so the fact that we're solving such a real problem, that in itself is motivation. And like for myself as a professor, when I'm mentoring students and I see those light bulb moments when things finally connect, it's so exciting. It's exciting to see that in anybody's journey while they're learning something new.
Mhm.
The other piece that keeps me motivated is, to be honest, I love the challenge. I don't always know what I'm doing, and that's okay. And what I get to do then is learn a lot of new things and do a lot of trial by error.
Right. Well, seeing your vision gain the national recognition and the competitive awards, it provides the fuel that we needed to really navigate the challenges of building an MVP. Finally, let's explore, Christiana, how your MVP is scaling towards national impact. What are your goals for the pilot, and how will this shape the future of education?
Sure. We have probably three main goals. The first is validation. Like I
Mhm.
said, we really wanted to build this with the instructor in mind, and that's why we have continuously been talking with instructors. So we want to make sure that we're giving them the right insights. So not just more data, because data that's not useful is nothing. It doesn't do anything. We want them to
Mhm.
have actionable information that actually fits into how they already teach and how they already grade. We also want to provide value through our pilot. So we want to know, are we genuinely saving you time? And are we helping you give better feedback to your students? Are we actually solving that problem? And then the third is trust. In the higher ed space, I think not even just higher ed, I think there's a lot of people out there who are understandably cautious about the use of AI. So it's really important to us with Octopodi that they still feel in control and that we're really transparent about how our tool works and that it's there to support their judgment rather than replace it. And so as much as the pilot is helping shape the product is also helping shape the pilot.
Mhm.
Um, for the future of education, what excites me the most is the shift that this could create in coding education to start. So, if we can take away a lot of that repetitive, time consuming part of grading, we can give instructors time back to focus on that mentorship and the deeper feedback and more meaningful interactions with their students. So, the goal here isn't to just be more efficient. Again, it comes back to this idea of a better learning experience.
Absolutely. No, thank you. And that was a really very insightful, Christiana. And it tells us that moving from a hypothetical solution to a real world pilot is is the defining step in proving that your tech it can solve the education crisis at scale. This was a great conversation. Thank you so much for walking our listeners through your journey and through your inspiration and motivation and what are you doing in this space to help people scale. As you wrap up now, what advice would you give students or new founders that are feeling stuck?
Ooh, this is a tough one. Okay, it's going to sound a little bit cliche, but I promise it's as true as it sounds. Don't wait until you feel ready because the reality is that you will probably never feel ready. You will never have 100% of the answers. Even now, as a founder, I have days where I wake up and I'm like, I have no idea what I'm doing. I don't know how I'm the CEO of a company. And then you have other days where you kind of figure things out and you're like, no, like we've got this. We can figure it out. We've been here before. We're going to do it again. And when you really just kind of look back and bring it back to the fact that you're solving a problem for people, all you got to do is talk to those people and look inwardly at yourself too and try some stuff out. It's not always going to work. But like I said, if it doesn't work, okay, we know that doesn't work. Let's go on to the next option. So yeah, that piece of feedback is don't wait until you feel ready because you probably never will.
That is a great reminder that the light bulb moment is always worth the persistence. Thank you so much, Christiana, for joining us and for sharing such great expertise and your insights.
Thank you so much for having me, Maheen. It's been a great chat.
And And listeners, that was Christianna Chow from Octopodi Technologies, a masterclass on how to bridge the gap between education and technology to really reclaim the human element of teaching. Thank you so much for tuning into the podcast. Please be sure to subscribe for more expert insights and visit sheandsuccess.ca for resources. A special thank you to our exclusive shipping partner, Purelator, for their ongoing commitment to it, supporting women entrepreneurs and helping them build, grow, and lead successful businesses across Canada. Please keep thriving, and we'll see you in the next one.